Hello, welcome to Studio Talks. My name's James Swift.
I'm Jeff Norton, and our guest today is
Rich Bradshaw.
Hey Rich, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I might not look it, but I'm fine. They say I've got a great face for the radio.
So, how did you get involved with the studio?
I'm from Widnes, but I lived away for many a year. And I had set foot in the studio many years ago. And when I came back, I was living in St Helens for a while, and I was involved with the Citadel. It's a similar sort of thing to the studio. Unfortunately, that's closed now, funding and all that business. Anyway, that wasn't the reason, but I moved back to Widnes, and I was looking for something, so I could, because I used to be in the Panto, the Citadel, various theatrical productions. Always cast as the baddie for some reason. I don't know why, actually. But I went along to the studio, and I suppose the initial thing was the volunteer work day. And I went along and just pulled a few weeds and, got talking to people. And as we all know, the studio is a very, very welcoming place. People
definitely
look after each other, And it's a place where, dare I use the word, creativity is just encouraged to bloom in whatever direction you want to take it in.
Definitely. I think that should be.
Now I go to choir, I go to the writing group, which started. I've performed on stage, and I've even sung the song.
I remember you did a Christmas one, didn't you?
You played. Remember the song me and Dylan did?
It was I Wish We Could Have Christmas Without Slade, was it?
I misheard that.
That was another one. Which I didn't realise until I think it was Steve pointed it out, so I mentioned it.
Different song.
I was singing a skit on the Slade lyrics to the tune of the Wizard song, Christmas every day. But hey, sometimes I trip myself up.
See, I thought that was intentional. I thought it was they all sound the same in the end, don't they?
It's like, something that's been drumming in your ears for years, just it'll find a way out, It'll find a way out. And, I've just done a few things like, I don't know, helping to put the seats out for a gig, maybe, raffle tickets at the bazaar. I was the Mad Hatter at one.
You were indeed.
And it's, there's probably the choir I go to, these days, of course, go to has got a different connotation, but even so,
You also had like a lead part in the Metronomes, didn't you? In the first Metronomes.
Well, I wouldn't call it a lead part because I don't think that was what it was about. But I certainly enjoyed the part I had. Again, what was I? A gambling addict. There's something about me that just endears me to people.
I think I would say that you took on the role, as much as I'm pretty sure everyone wasn't calling you that. You took on the role. That's a hard role to play and still be sympathised with, I would say.
What originally got you involved as an actor?
Like a lot of people I've spoken to, though, they don't always say it straight out. I'd wanted to for years, but I was, I don't know what I was. I don't know if I was frightened, nervous. I've done bits and bobs here and there. The most challenging thing I've ever done, when I was living in Spain, in Tarragona, which is down the road from Barcelona, where they speak Spanish and Catalan. And I speak Spanish, and then, I don't know now, this is 20 years I've been back in England, I spoke fluent Spanish. And somebody asked me if I'd come and perform in this little play. It was like a kid's entertainment thing, really. Story about going to the moon and stuff like that, But what I didn't know until after I'd said yes was that the performance was to be in Catalan.
No.
I understood a certain amount of Catalan, but I spoke it like Tarzan. I had no idea. So I got we weren't given a script. It was what he gave us was the gist. You are this character. This is your problem. The reason you can't go to the moon is because you can't find your saxophone, which I used to play. But anyway, for about 3 weeks before this performance, I was just hounding all my Catalan-speaking friends and acquaintances and even unknown people. How do you say this? How do you say this? How do you say this? And I got up and, I'm not just blowing my trumpet here. I performed in Catalan, which was something. If it had been in Spanish, I'd have been comfortable. Apart from the terror you get.
I suppose it's the problem with that is it's not just knowing the words, it's also knowing how to say them, if that makes sense. Like what's the word I'm looking for? Like what dialect you want to say it at, and what emotion you've got behind you when you're saying those words.
Delivery of a line, because you can say a line in any number of ways. My favourite example is I haven't got any eyes. Someone can say, I haven't got any eyes, or I haven't got any eyes. I haven't got any eyes. I haven't got any eyes. There's got any eyes. I've told you 3 times already.
There's a video where it's as like a guy on YouTube called Brian David Gilbert, I think it is. And it's 19 ways you can say haha what.
Yeah. I mean, that's about getting into acting. I mean, for years I'd wanted to. I know I'm going back to the other question now, but I was really lucky. I was in Widnes but I'd just come back from Spain, for family reasons, really. I was looking at the Widnes Weekly News, and I saw a course advertised in St Helens College, and it was a BTEC for a drama and performance course. Now, BTEC is something that people do when they're 19,
I did a BTEC in business.
But they ran this adult BTEC thing. I mean, I was just dead lucky. I went along, and then for 10 years, it was just full on. It was all I wanted to do. The bugged bit, I think it already had years ago, but sort of overcame the terror, which is always there. Ask anyone. I mean, any performer, 5 minutes before they go on, is either feeling fine or thinking, I should have done woodwork. Woodwork is good. Why am I doing this? Why? Exactly. Why am I doing this? I've realised that's part and parcel of performing live. Being filmed can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I don't like being filmed.
Everyone's on your side. You're all on the same team, as it were. Whereas an audience in the same room, you've got to win them. You've got to get hold of them and keep hold of them. So they walk out smiling. You've just reminded me of something. A drama game is one where you get 2 people together or split into 2s. It's just a drama game, and one person can only say yes. That's the only word you're allowed to speak. And the other person can only say no.
No, yeah.
It's amazing how.
We used to play that in school and drama. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were playing that just then. That's why I said yeah.
No. It's 52 when I came across it. But it's amazing. I mean, I read somewhere. Now, I don't know how they possibly measure such a thing, but it seems that it's an oft-quoted fact, or it's an oft-quoted thing. They reckon 7% of communication is verbal. Now, like I say, how they calculate such a thing, I don't know, and it sounds very unlikely.
No, that doesn't sound likely at all.
When you see, because this was at college, right? So you got to watch people as well as do it, And when people engaged with it properly, you could see you could see a row. It could have been a married couple having a blazing row, or 2 mates about to start fighting, Yes, no, yeah, yes, all that business.
It's like it's almost like the one where we used to play this one all the time in school, where it was you can only communicate through song titles.
Now that would be more difficult, but great fun. I've often thought about trying to write a scene which consisted of song titles. You said a list of the Beatles songs. We all know that they were at it for years, and great songs, etc.
Josh is showing a sign of disagreement.
Don't like the Beatles. They're overrated. Sorry, everyone.
Well,
we're gonna get so much hate for this one.
Yeah, but it's interaction on the channel. It's fine. It's good for the YouTube algorithm.
Gosh, I'm not preaching here, mate, but
no, I'm just saying.
there's no accounting for taste. or in your case, lack of.
No.
But you're the same with Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
You look at them and you think, turn this into a conversation. It would have to be, it would have to be like, it's almost like an in-joke that everyone's got. You could do it with any recording artist who's got enough songs to give you, because it has to make sense. Nonsense.
No, but it has to. I guess it has to. You can see the connection. Do you see what I mean? Like you can't just say nonsense as long as it's like.
No, of course not. In the same way that if I'm thinking about theatre now, but if you're in the audience watching two or more characters having a conversation, it has to be going somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
It might be ridiculous, but it has to hook you with it and take you. That's what it has to do. Like a song does. Anything, any piece of what we call art, whether it's a sculpture, a painting, a poem, a song, a dance, it has to get hold of you and make you want to follow it.
Exactly.
Then it works. And someone says to you afterwards, "What do you think that was about?" Not a clue, mate. not a clue, but I liked where it took me on the day. And I said, I don't know. And she said, I won't say she dragged me kicking and screaming, but she did not let me refuse to go. Anyway, we went, and it was a modern dance thing. They did 3 different distinct pieces. I was enthralled, but afterwards thinking about it, I thought, if you'd stood outside there and said to people coming out, what was the story that they danced? I bet you'd have had a list longer than the Beatles songs.
Yeah, definitely. That's
what was going on. It was tremendous. I was gobsmacked.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for people who want to pursue acting?
Learn your lines. When you go to rehearsal and someone pulls a script out of their back pocket and it is pristine, I feel like smacking them around the head with it. Someone pulls a script out of their pocket that's got coffee stains on it, it's dog-eared, because they read it on the bus and they read it there and they put the, it's always there. Rehearsals are for working. It's all, if you need to read the script, read the script. We go at our different paces, but yeah, I am preaching now. I am. There are 168 hours in a week. If you've got a rehearsal that lasts 2 hours, you've got 166 other hours to learn your blimmin' lines.
I feel like this is a given, because and maybe this is just naive because I've never been in any play or anything, but I feel like as an actor, you would want to play a part because you really like the script, wouldn't you? So why haven't you learnt the script to something that you like?
Whatever part you're playing, you want to play it well. We touched on this before. It's one thing to know the words. It's another thing to if you've never considered, how am I going to say this? Maybe anyone who's done any kind of acting, or at least reading about it, studying it, will have heard of Konstantin Stanislavski. This is the bloke who is credited with coming up with the what is called method acting. He's also known universally as Stan the Man. He was a Russian guy. So I read a couple of books that he wrote. One was the thing that was supposedly introducing method acting. But what I got more than that was from the other book. And it was called was not the book, but the thing that I remember from the book was what if, and it was left at that. The concept, as I took it, that sentence finished. If you're an actor playing a part, what if this was real? What if I really was, whatever part you've given me? And what if I had been put in prison for a crime I didn't commit, or whatever the plot is? It shouldn't matter. If you're willing to take on a part, then you should take it on.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon there are 3 people. When you walk on stage as a character in a play, I reckon there are 3 people on stage already. One is the character you're playing. The second one is the actor who's playing it, keeping an eye on the character. And the third one is you. You all normal, everyday you, keeping an eye on the actor. There was a thing once on Facebook, these things that do the rounds, and they pass it on. And the question was, I can't remember how it worked exactly, but the question was, if this person was arrested, what do you think they'd be arrested for? And a friend of mine, his reply when my name came up was overacting. I I've never forgiven him. But you need energy to go on stage, as anyone who ever performs knows. But you also need spare energy so you can play. You know, so you don't just spit out the words like they were something you've just found in your mouth. You deliver them with some feeling, you know, and understanding of what you're saying.
So anyway, Rich, how did you get involved in writing? What do you prefer, writing comedy or just drama?
Well, there's all kinds of stages. I mean, if by writing we mean picking up a pen and putting it on a piece of paper and writing down something you have just thought or you are thinking as you write, I've been doing that, well, certainly since I was a teenager. Writing with any kind of, I don't even know how to say it really, but with serious intent, you know, because for years and years and years, I was someone who could come out with half a page of what I thought was absolutely brilliant stuff, but it remained at half a page and nothing else ever happened to it. You know, I could write the first verse of a song and the rest was pap.
Would you say it's writing for an audience that makes it different?
Well, to be honest with you, I try not to, because when I write, I am the audience. You know, I'm not trying to please anybody else. This is not bullshit. What I'm trying to do is be as good as I can be.
Right. Okay.
And then what? Then you either leave it and you've got half a page sitting there forever, or you think develop it, hone it. Just as I am now, I digress all over the place. But if you want to write something, because there is a stage afterwards, which is something relatively recent for me. I say I've been writing since I was a teenager, and that is the case. But relatively recently, I've for reasons we will come on to, I'm sure, I've been trying to finish off things, let them grow, and it takes discipline, because the initial flurry, because that's what they were really, they were just flurries. The initial flurry, it's great fun. It can feel like a bit of a slog when you find yourself sitting at a table in front of a computer and all you're doing is looking for misplaced commas. Oh, hang on, you know, that's the third time in this sentence I've used the word gigantic. I think maybe I should try and find another way of saying big.
How do you go about writing for the radio play? Like, do you find that difficult?
You said, Josh, about comedy or drama. Writing for the radio play, which is basically comedy. That's our common intent.
Yeah.
You know,
and I would say that the comedy isn't. It's bad jokes. Like, it's not like they're like when I wrote my.
Say that personally.
No. I mean, like, that's, if you can write bad jokes, you can write a perfect. Like the one I wrote because I had a few bad jokes that were so bad you can't call them dad jokes. You have to call them granddad jokes. Like, I had jokes that you shouldn't laugh at because they're not funny. And if you can come up with a couple of them, you can write a really good radio play. Any
approach is okay. You know, all it has to do is work.
Yeah.
You know, when you finish the thing and say, if you're prepared to say, yes, I wrote this, and you can read it, then you know you've done your best. You know, in a way. What you might call drama, straight drama, is easier to write because all you have to do is maintain a kind of tension, follow a road, and you know, just keep to it. The problem with trying to write comedy, unless sometimes things come to you and they're just funny, when you're trying to write comedy, you're always on the lookout for a joke. Pretty much anything I write is character driven. I reckon Shakespeare covered every plot there was. There are only about 7 stories. You know, same as the Deadly Sins, you know. Someone's jealous of someone, someone's well off, someone's poor, someone's naked and tied to a lamppost, whatever it might be, you know. But if you can, back to what if this was real and I was that person naked, tied to a lamppost, probably on my stag night, but who knows? What would happen? How would I feel? What would I say? What would I do? And if you can answer those questions as you go along, a subtle way, should we say, the questions don't come out, the answers, things don't come out like answers, it's thought. You can do it. You can pursue that thing and follow it to its sometimes illogical conclusion. Whereas if you're trying to make it funny, then there are so many trapdoors you could fall through. Because a bad joke is okay. A granddad joke is okay.
Yeah. I would say that the amendment to that is like a bad joke, a granddad joke can be okay as long as you know full well that you are going into it for it to be a bad joke, if that makes sense. So, during lockdown, there's obviously been lockdown literature. How has that helped you grow as a writer?
Well, it goes back to joining the writing group at the studio. Hey, and unashamed, it's plug time, folks. Plug time. The studio, absolutely marvellous. If you don't know what I'm talking about, why don't you go down to Lazy Street and stick it? Well, you can't do that at the moment.
Not at the moment.
But the invitation is not false. It's not my place to make it, but it's come along. You'll see a place. You'll feel the place that is welcoming. They'll take you in and look after you.
I completely agree.
But I think it's called Write On.
Yeah, the writing group.
The writing group that takes place there. That has helped me. I was talking before about discipline, about taking an idea and actually going with it instead of just sitting there thinking, oh, this is a good thing, and and leaving it at that. To take it and I keep using these words that I hesitate to use, like develop a story. At least stick with it. I mean, if you can't be bothered finishing it, why should anyone be bothered reading it?
Yeah.
And I never wrote really so that other people could read it. It wasn't a diary, but it was, a lot of it was poetry. Lockdown literature being the audio stories, that's another thing again, because then it all ties in together. To me, it's all the same thing. All this mind, body, spirit. That means you, whoever you are. If you write a story and that you are happy enough with to say to someone, I wrote that, you can read it if you like. I'm willing to let you or anybody read it. It's another thing to record it. That's the same basis. You can listen to this. I'm willing to throw it out,
Yeah.
with my name attached.
Yeah.
But then that becomes a performance. It's a performance to read something out. In the same way that if you record a song, it's a performance.
I would argue, I don't know about Josh, but I would argue that this is very much a performance, the podcast itself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, I wouldn't say... I think about this all the time when I listen to podcasts like that. I like. They always say, I am not the person who you're currently listening to. I'm a completely different person. I go off and I have to eat lunch. And, you're never the same person as you are publicly than you are privately, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree with you there.
Yeah, of course, that's true. I mean, you only have to hear someone's voice on the phone.
Yeah.
And if you're in the same room as someone who answers a phone, you can hear the change in their voice.
Yeah.
You were talking to, and it's not like being shallow or putting anything on. It's just we respond to. In the same way, you might, you don't talk to a policeman the same way you talk to a small child.
No.
You don't talk to a police the same way you talk to yourself.
I started writing a podcast, just me reading for about 10, 15 minutes, and it was like different essays I'd essentially wrote. One of them was called Personality, and it was very much this.
Excuse me, can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
When you said reading stuff, was it stuff that you wrote?
Yeah. So I essentially...
Go on.
I'd like wrote an essay where it was different things I'd been thinking about. So the podcast name, this isn't, it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen one day, I promise. But it was, the podcast was going to be called Lately I've Been Thinking. And each episode would start. Yeah. And it would start with Lately I've Been Thinking about, and then the essay would start. And I had an essay called Lately I've Been Thinking About Personality. It would be 10-15 minutes long, and I'd just read something that I've wrote. And one episode was called Personality. And it was essentially exactly what we're talking about, where it's not only the social situation that changes, it's if you're in a room of 3 people and a 4th person comes in, you completely change your personality, depending on, it doesn't even matter who the person is. And as you say, if the social situation changes where something suddenly becomes...
We respond to a dynamic.
Yeah, exactly.
And, maybe we shouldn't, but, I don't know, it's a social thing.
Yeah, I don't really think it's conscious. I really don't think it's something you...
Oh, no, it's not. It's not conscious. If you are the 3rd person not involved in the conversation, you will hear the change of voice. There's nothing funnier than watching 2 people misunderstand each other. Now I'm talking about people in the same room.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you something, and this is today, right? This is today. I was in the co-op. I'd wandered up, and I suddenly realised, oh, hang on, I forgot to get the toothpaste, which is what I went in for. So I said to the woman behind the till who was ready to serve me, I said, oh, excuse me. I said, I've forgotten something. Do you know where the toothpaste is? And she said, yeah, hang on, I'll go and have a look. She wasn't sure. So I'm stood there doing nothing in particular now. There wasn't a queue or anything. And I looked up and it said where the tills are, the tobacco kiosk is behind them. And there's a notice on it. And it says, please ask a member of staff if you want to buy tobacco. And I thought, next time I'm coming here, I'm going to say to whoever's behind that till, excuse me, do I want to buy tobacco? No, but it made me laugh.
Go on, answer the next question.
Would you like to read us a poem?
Oh, well, yes, indeed. And the doubt you may have heard in my voice there is only because I have to warn you, and I'm not joking now. In fact, I'm going to have to reel myself in a little bit to do this.
We've all had fun here, but
this poem is completely miserable.
It's fine.
Some might say that as a comment on the poem. There's no time. You don't need to get your hankies out or anything. But it was a very dark moment. But hey, plug. The studio is about to produce a book of writings of various people who've contributed, short stories, illustrations, and some poems. This poem is the one that I have contributed to this book. And unless someone changes their mind, I believe it'll be in it. It's called, now get ready for this, it's called Untitled Poem. I did try on several occasions to give it a title, this untitled poem. The one that almost made it was called, well, the title was rather, Utter Despair. So it's not a laugh a minute. Take this comment as you please. The poem did not want a title. And here we go. Love, you leave me torn, open at last, on a hill where even the ants refuse me. Love, my grief is worn, a bone to cast. My tired epitaphs confuse me. Is my free fall over? Do I bend my knees and roll to one side of the way? Did the parachute chambers somehow cease to hold in the wind where they may? And is this where you leave me? Red as a sun, my blood setting dull in the soil. The valley full shadows from here seen as one move by. A beach bird, painted oil. I got better after a while. I don't mean it writing
really
poems. I mean, I felt better. You know?
I think poetry has that, doesn't it? Where it has the effect of. I mean, I've only ever wrote, I think, 2 or 3 poems, and they've all been because I've not been feeling too good, and I've needed something to I needed to write it down on a note, and it happened to rhyme. So how do you personally write poetry?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, next question.
No, really. No, I mean, I shy away from the word inspiration, but an idea will come. I don't know where from. I mean, if you could bottle it, we all would. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But sometimes looking at something, something you see, something you hear, something you even something you smell, it would just inspire you, pardon the word, to try and record your response to it. I've got this idea. We started off talking about involvement with the studio, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can go to whatever height you can reach, and by that I'm talking about, mind, body, and spirit. You can get up and let your spirit be naked and sing about it, speak about it, paint about it, dance about it, make a piece of craft work about it. That's weeding, putting the seats out, bringing the stage around, serving a drink. As for mind, that's where we try and work it out, and put things in some kind of order. This is today, or not? No, yesterday. We all know what's going on now, lockdown and all this business. My habit in the morning is to get up, get dressed. I underline that bit. I walk into the kitchen, put the kettle on, and while the kettle is boiling, I go to the front door, open it, and step outside, or watch the rain, depending what's going on. Well, yes, it was yesterday. I did that. The empty street was there, but it wasn't just empty. It was empty. No one was there. No one. And a line came to me, which this poem has never been written. If you pinch this line, you're very welcome, and I will never forgive you. But the line, attached to nothing else, came to me. I was looking at the houses and thinking about the people inside them, as I had been 2 seconds before, and I will be 3 seconds hence, because the kettle will boil. And the line was, all the sudden orphans. Now, I think if I ever get round to writing it, I can turn that into something meaningful to me. But whatever I do with it, my attempt will be to try and maintain the same depth of feeling, because they're just words. If you just spit them out, they're just words. All the sudden orphans, 4 words. It could be fish and chips, please. That could be a poem. But I've got it. I wrote it down when I came back in on one of my crosswords. You know what I mean? So where does that come from? I don't know. I mean, how do you write poetry? When someone says, that's a good question, what they generally mean is, I haven't got a good answer.
I was editing an episode today, and the person who we was interviewing literally said that.
A line comes to you from I don't know where, and if you wish, you could follow it. I've got this idea, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I think within each of us, we have this thing which is the source, not of creativity, but of our urge to create something. And when things are good, or when things are bad for that matter, things will emerge from there, in the form of whatever art form you might be talking about. And that includes gardening. I draw the line at Morris dancing personally, but that's just, Josh doesn't like the Beatles. What the hell can I do? I don't like Morris dancing. I challenge you, Josh, to a Morris dancing competition. What singing?
I'll teach myself how to Morris dance. So, Rich, where can people find you online? The things you do online.
Oh, it's plug time, folks. It's plug time.
Well, you've been doing that all episode, to be fair. But go on.
You can find my book called Never a Crossword on Kindle. Kindle store, be careful what you type in, because otherwise you get crossword books. Yeah? Or if you put in Richard Bradshaw, it should come up. By the way, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's also a book called Tales from the Studio, an anthology, written by various people in the Write On writing group, which also takes place at the studio. I've read it, and it's smashing.
I've read bits of it.
There's also a couple of Richard III and Hamlet. You know, when I say Hamlet, not the whole play, the to be or not to be speech. They're on YouTube somewhere. I can never find them.
I'll put a link to them in the description.
No, emblazon them. That's a nice word. You don't hear that every day. So that's the kind of word you want when you're playing Scrabble. Emblazon.
Rich, thank you so much for doing this. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed this one.
It has been a rambling pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I'll see you soon.
It has been a pleasure.
See you soon. Bye.